Wireless audio or wired, Mike?
Wireless.
Ooh! It took a second.
Talk about controversial.
All right, guys. So that was a snippet of a conversation that Kevin and I had with Snapdragon Sound. It was a very interesting interview with two people who are responsible for Snapdragon Sound from Qualcomm. So coming up is that full long interview. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's different kind of content for our channel. So do leave a comment down below and let us know if you enjoy this or not. And yeah, get a cup of coffee, maybe a lunch or dinner, because this is not a short video. Goedendag. Namaste.
So I guess I'll start. My name is Mike Cannavaro. I am the Director of Marketing for Snapdragon Sound here at Qualcomm.
And I'm Sarah McMurray. I look after product marketing for Qualcomm's Voice and Music business unit and also all things Snapdragon Sound.
Okay. So just like start at the very bottom, like what does Snapdragon Sound mean for an average consumer? But also like what does it mean when something is Snapdragon Sound certified?
You know, I think the best way to really think about Snapdragon Sound is, it's a series of technologies that we've strung together to create, the best audio experience for both mobile devices and peripherals. When this initiative kicked off, I guess it would have been March of last year, the idea was to create an experience brand. The core tenets that we wanted to really focus on for consumers were a lot of the challenges in Bluetooth audio, really, right? So robustness, so think audio glitches and dropouts, super high quality audio, and latency with Bluetooth. Bluetooth has been historically not fit for purpose with audio plus video, right? We started applying our technology tool sets and our effectively a chain of technologies that allows us to control the link, so control the robustness and the latency, utilizing our APTX codec, which is in billions of devices today, deliver super high quality audio and low latency audio. So we initially at launch, we stuck those three kind of technologies together and we launched Snapdragon Sound as a brand. So if you see Snapdragon Sound on a set of, Edifier or Neura earbuds, and you see the Snapdragon logo on the box on an Asus ROG 6 gaming phone, you're going to get the best experience. And so with that, we're building out an ecosystem of partners and additional technologies. Everywhere you see that Snapdragon Sound brand, consumers should expect high quality audio and an immersive experience and a really robust connection.
Just to double click on that a little bit, like when you say high quality audio, because you have a suite of codecs as well, right? From APTX to lossless. Should I also assume every time I see Snapdragon certified that I will get lossless as well as all the other features? Or is it like sometimes it's a basket from which a selection is made per product? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so I'd say for the last 18 months or so, it's been a core set of technologies. So high res 9624 audio, low latency gaming. We applied our super wideband voice codec, so 32 kilohertz super wideband voice, so call quality voice. And that was the bar that you had to cross effectively to be able to carry the Snapdragon Sound logo, Moving forward, we're moving to 4816, 4824 lossless. We did launch a lossless codec at the same time, and I think what you're starting to see now in the market is, in addition to the core Snapdragon Sound technologies, 9624, low latency, super wideband voice, we've got our customers now working, the lossless codec in as well.
What we often see when we review products, and we review everything from SoundPeach to Edifier and Apple and everything in between, often we see like Qualcomm QCC 3040 on board, or there'll be a chip name. And what's also very interesting to us is like there are companies like Jabra who do APTX, and actually I think use the Snapdragon Sound chip, but they don't go all the way from Bang & Olufsen to SoundPeach. From the Qualcomm point of view, is it the exact same implementation? And how much of the sound is the fact that it's a Qualcomm chip, and how much room does the manufacturer have to play with?
When we set out to build this experience brand, we really set out to build a brand in, I guess you could say, high and premium tier handsets to pair with all these peripheral devices. And so when you think about high tier and premium tier handsets, you do think about the upper 1/3 of Android devices, maybe upper 1/2 of Android devices. And And so that's where you're seeing the Snapdragon chipset. So what we do is we take all of that software goodness, some additional connectivity capability, and then we apply that on top of that chipset. To your point, do the handset manufacturers, apply their own technology? In order to meet the Snapdragon Sound bar and usage of the trademark and kind of get into the ecosystem, you've got to take a core set of functionality from Qualcomm on that chipset. So that's the handset side of the equation. But in order for us to differentiate and provide value to the market, we also needed to apply those same set of base technologies on the peripheral side. So you mentioned Bang & Olufsen or Edifier or Nura or whoever the case may be. That's a chipset from our voice and music group. And so by applying the capabilities on both sides of the link, that's kind of the bar that handset makers, that OEMs on the peripheral side have to cross. So yes, it's related to the chipset. Yes, we target the higher end, both peripherals and handsets or source devices, not just handsets. And that's where that chip number comes in. But from our perspective on the Snapdragon Sound side, it's a layer of software and connectivity capabilities and technologies that we actually put on top of the core chipsets.
I can imagine you're lending out your brand, to another brand, and say they do a really, we've not come across it, but say they do a really poor job, and it sounds like crap. What is like the controls that you guys apply? Because I can imagine that you guys would also want to really see the finished product, at least test that it works to some extent. Because I think software is one aspect of it, right? If the drivers are decent and if the implementation is, in line with what you guys expect, how does that relationship work with those manufacturers?
Well, first and foremost, when we set out a quality bar, it was important for us to make sure that manufacturers weren't just putting product out with our brand on it and weren't meeting that quality bar. You almost have to take a step back, and both Sarah and I come from the APTX codec side of the family of companies. We've been around the APTX codec side for a long time, and so when we started licensing APTX into the marketplace, when we started seeding APTX into the marketplace, and I think you guys are probably familiar with the codec and how we've added some capabilities on top of core Bluetooth that create obviously a higher quality audio experience. So when we set out to make APTX the de facto standard in the market for high quality audio, we created an interoperability, a compliance, and a certification process that manufacturers had to go through. When that's now grown into full anechoic chambers and a really robust interoperability lab. Again, that manufacturers, no matter who the manufacturer is, no matter what product you're putting it in, have to go through a set of compliance and tests and certifications in order to carry that logo. I'm old enough to remember the Dolby logos and the THX certified logos and all those sorts of things in the audio space. And it's very, very similar to what you would expect when you see Dolby or DTS or Snapdragon Sound or THX certified on devices. When we launched Snapdragon Sound in March, we took that interoperability and compliance and certification process up another level. Because now we're adding voice technologies and we're testing the robustness of the link. Did you implement the antenna or the chipset correctly on both sides so that you're getting the most robust link, the lowest latency and the highest quality. So we took that pedigree of testing and certification from the APTX codec, and we now have applied it to Snapdragon Sound testing.
As I said, kind of, if you think about it from a consumer perspective, and kind of what Mike said, the mission that we had when we set out with APTX, it had this history in pro audio and broadcast, and we saw, how Mike says 20 years ago. I don't know if it was that many years ago.
I did say that this time.
If all those years ago, Bluetooth was not fit for purpose for high quality audio, and with APTX, it became the de facto standard. People, I think, do look for the APTX branding on the box, when they're looking at Bluetooth devices, and I'm sure you've called it out as you've done reviews of various different headphones and speakers or whatever. But I think when we became part of Qualcomm and we look from a consumer perspective, if you look at how audio, all of the different places that audio can break down across the audio chain, it's not just the audio codec, it's the connectivity and other things. And I think because we, have this ability to now look at the audio chain end to end, what we've done is we've been able to optimize all of those technologies across that chain to work together to make sure that no matter where you are with your device or what you're doing with it, whether you're making a voice call, whether you're gaming, or whether you're listening to music, you're always going to get this very consistent premium quality.
And it was interesting that you mentioned that Bluetooth was the, it's a kind of a limited technology, or the technology that you needed to use. So just kind of pivoting from that topic onwards would be the next question would be, are you guys actually looking at anything beyond Bluetooth? Is there anything beyond Bluetooth? What's next?
We've got incredible experience around 5G and beyond. We've got incredible experience around Wi-Fi and beyond. And so, we're not resting at Bluetooth. The next generation of Bluetooth LE audio is now coming out, where you're very quickly going to start seeing devices where the extensibility of Bluetooth becomes point to multipoint or multipoint to point, and all sorts of other spatial audio and other capabilities within Bluetooth that really weren't possible over the years. And so you're going to see, I think, in the coming years, a huge explosion and expansion of Bluetooth capabilities, all new experiences, because where the Bluetooth SIG is taking that technology, where the standards organizations are taking Bluetooth, it's adding capabilities. And so we'll definitely lean forward into some of those new capabilities, and which will drive new experiences. And we'll also look at other connectivity technologies like Wi-Fi, right? As low power Wi-Fi comes down, and as throughput in Wi-Fi goes up, we will look at different experiences within Wi-Fi as well.
And I also think, I guess, to add to that, going back to LE audio and kind of what we're doing there, we have Qualcomm and have this heritage in Bluetooth, right, and Bluetooth audio, and so we've worked very closely with the Bluetooth SIG, the Bluetooth Special Interest Group, as part of working groups to really help define that standard and drive these use cases forward. So when you look at our kind of portfolio of Bluetooth audio SoCs, many of those are qualified, or kind of pre-qualified to enable LE audio that you'll see in the next generation of products that will be launched, next year. So I think we'll start to see, and your viewers will start to see devices that support LE audio coming to market and support these new capabilities, and beyond just that of classic Bluetooth.
The way I see it is SIG does like the base layer, maybe like it has the most minimum standards of what Bluetooth should do, and you guys build on top of that. So is that a fair comparison? Because you're not the only ones doing that, right? And one of the questions we have here from What's New, one of our viewers, is how will the new APTX lossless compare with LHDC and LDAC? At what point do you decide to extend or build custom things? At what point do you use the SIG stuff?
So I think you're right. I mean, the SIG sets out the standard, and as Sarah said, we've been active participants in the standards for longer than I can remember. And so yes, we take the standard. The standard is what your minimum viable product, your entry level products have to maintain. What Qualcomm has always done over the years, if you look at the way that we've innovated on top of Bluetooth, is we take the standard and then we take that up another level in terms of audio quality and latency. I mean, we're talking about, you're talking about pushing latency for Bluetooth down into, sub 30, maybe sub, closer to 20 milliseconds. And what that means for your audience is it's virtually the same latency as plugging in a set of headphones. So for influencers and content creators like yourselves, that means stereo recording wirelessly. That means all sorts of other great things. Gaming, right? Mobile gaming, obviously. ROG 6, the Asus ROG 6 phone is an example of that great, robust gaming platform. The ability to apply Qualcomm technologies on that platform means that you can really extend Bluetooth capability. And so when you look back at 140,000 patents, if you look at the innovation curve of Qualcomm, we will continue to take these standards and then add these technologies on top of that. And that leads to your second question, which is the competitive side of that, which from my perspective, I don't know. Yes, we have competitors in the Bluetooth chip space. Yes, we have competitors in the handset chip space. But I can't think in this category that we're talking about, I can't think of another competitor that has spent the R&D dollars that has continued to innovate and launch technologies into the market on top of the standard. So if you really look at who we compete with on the chipset level, that's fine. Maybe there's companies out there that would compete at the standard level. But then you talk about all of the layers of technology and the patents and the innovations that we've built on top of that. That's where we will continue to differentiate. And that comes back to Sarah's point, which is when we built this experience brand of Snapdragon Sound, and it's not just sound, it's in these other categories I talked about earlier too, gaming and wearables and the car and other things. We're building an ecosystem of products so that consumers know when they see that you're going to get the best, most innovative, most kind of forward-thinking experience over just the standards.
We have a lot of people on our channel who are audiophiles, and they often, you know how audiophiles are, sorry audiophiles, they are very very particular about, they say wireless audio will never ever equal, wired audio, and, their fancy headphones and DACs and amps. How far do you guys think, and just maybe like it could be a gut feeling or informed opinion, how far do you think we are from wireless audio matching wired audio?
I mean, look, I've been in the audio business for 20 years. This is a question we get asked all the time as it relates to wireless audio. And, are the tube amp guys ever going to fall in love with Bluetooth audio? Probably not, right? I mean, you're talking about a group of people that, measure oxygen and speaker cables, and it's brilliant, and I love it, and the tube amps warm the home. I love it, and I think it's great, and so I think esoteric audio and hi-fi audio, I think will always have a place. And interestingly, if you think about that space and you think about some of the players there, I don't know, Macintosh amps or whoever, you see those companies are also leaning into the wireless space. So just on that topic, I don't think I guess a better way to say it is we're seeing hi-fi audio brands taking a closer look at some of our technologies because of what we're able to do. Lossless is just one of those things that I think is changing that trend. You've got Apple Music, and you've got Amazon, and you've got QQ and Melon, and all these streaming services that are pushing lossless. Qualcomm today is the only company that can actually get lossless from the phone to the wireless earbuds. So I think, for your audience that are audiophiles and are focused on high-res audio, you'll see we started with Snapdragon Sound at 9624, and you should expect us to go full 192. And to be able to say that we can do that over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or other technologies means, I hope that the audience that you guys have that are those audiophiles and do have those 2 amps and do like that esoteric audio, we'll see that brands in that space are now looking at wireless audio to meet kind of their ultra high bar. So we're not. I mean, I can tell you, knowing what technologies we're looking at moving ahead in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I would say we're not that far off from being on par with those oxygenated cables, plugged into a tube amp.
I think there are also more possibilities in some sense, right? Because when and this is probably one of your competitors, or I don't know how you view Apple, but I mean, if I see some of the things that the new spatial audio is doing, I always thought it was a gimmick, right? It's stupid. What's spatial audio of 2 ears? But when you actually see what the AirPods Pro 2 do, with certain old recordings, which are like very stereo recordings, like a friend of mine said, it was a Miles Davis album, I don't know which one. He said it's like a very stereo album, but when he put spatial audio on with the customized head tracking, it was literally the imaging like changed from night to day. So in some sense, wireless even has more potential than wired. He was like, I've never heard Miles like that before, and he's an audiophile with his LPs and everything. So I do think there's quite a lot of possibility. What are you guys thinking, beyond the regular stereo resolution? What are some of the new crazy ideas out there that might see the light of day?
I mean, look, I think, you touched on spatial audio from that company. I'm not that familiar with that. Spatial audio is one area. I mean, look, Sony's been doing HRTF or spatial audio in some of their products for a little while. You take a picture of your ear, it maps the pin of the ear.
360 audio.
Yeah, and you get 360 audio. Nura, one of our customers, founded by an audiologist, they actually run a tonal sweep in your ear when you put the earbuds in to create a personalized audio experience. So I think in many ways we're just scratching the surface on spatial audio, dynamic spatial audio, head tracking, your place in space. I think all of those things, we see it not just in consumer audio, we see it in spatial audio as an example, right? I mean, the idea that a lot of your audience has been working from home for 2 years means that they went from wearing a plugged in, enterprise headset to maybe using some of these newer, higher quality headsets for these types of experiences. So that means that you can start to place people where they are in the Zoom room or where they are in the Teams room, right? We are looking at is trying to service kind of, I don't want to say the creator marketplace, but in some way driving true stereo, voice on wireless, for voice back channels. So being able to listen to music or be able to do recordings like this and actually hear it back in and record it back in stereo. I think we're also looking at noise suppression and ANC and all sorts of other things to make the experience more personal. I think the last thing I'll say is I think your audience realizes it's not just earbuds or headphones and the phone anymore. It's the car, right? It's the wearable. It's all of these other products driving and enhancing those experiences in other places, XR and in the car and while you're out running, so that your personal audio experience or your noise reduced experience continues in each one of those places.
But what was interesting, what you mentioned, Mike, is, you saw that, right? The shift from moving from your old wired earbuds that you got in your phone with your phone, or the ones that your company provided, to purchasing your own headsets or earbuds and using them for calls and working from home. So that's becoming a big thing. But what you also realize is people have multiple devices at home, right? They have their personal laptop, they have their laptop for work, they have their smartphones, maybe multiple again. So, but what we see is that Bluetooth again is quite limiting, or not always, doesn't work great when connected to multiple devices. What's the challenge exactly there? Why do we have that issue with multi-point connections? Why doesn't it just work?
I'll be careful in my answer on this one. Look, I think some of it's implementations. I think some of it's cost. I mean, I think some of it's experience and expertise. I won't call anybody out, but I think we know there are certain experiences that are not great, and there are other experiences in terms of multi-point connections for Bluetooth, for example, that are excellent. And I think there's a lot of work that's been done into things like fast connect or fast pairing and remembering personal preferences as an example. You're starting to see that a lot more too in some of these app-driven experiences. One of our partners on the chipset side, Bose, they recently launched their new earbuds, and there's a lot of personalization that's going into that. Sarah and I, we sit in meetings with customers, and it is, the pairing process, the multi-pairing process. I mean, these things are top of mind with brands. I think
it kind of goes back to kind of what we said before, that, when Bluetooth has been around for more than 20, I don't know how many years it's been around, but it was never designed as it was always a point-to-point thing. Like, it was a lot of the things that we want Bluetooth to do, it was not designed to do in the first place. So I think now that we're looking at, the new LE audio standard and some of the things that will allow, and kind of the innovation that companies like Qualcomm will, add on top of that, then I think we'll start to see those user experiences become much more seamless.
So Snapdragon Sound 2.0 will be with multi-point. You could tell us a little bit about where you see Bluetooth and wireless audio in the next 5 or 10 years. What's like the crazy dream scenario, and what do you think is realistic?
I think it's kind of what Mike's kind of reference, right? It's the devices that work seamlessly together, and connect seamlessly, and you don't have to worry about pairing, and it's limitless, right? You're untethered. You are getting the best possible audio quality. You're connecting seamlessly to devices, your car, everything works seamlessly together. And I think ultimately, these devices, we talk about kind of, last year we do a consumer survey every year, and last year we realized that sound really matters to people, right? So like coming out of the pandemic, we saw, the amount of people really caring about, sound across all of the things that they do throughout the day. And I think, as I don't want to kind of, I guess, say too much, but I think probably use cases and experiences that we haven't even kind of thought of yet.
Do you have any other questions you want to add, Kevin?
Well, maybe one that popped up was what are a couple of myths that you guys hear in this industry that you want to just make clear and bust in this call right now? We'll say, what are things that you hear that you think that's total bullshit, but seems to have a life of its own, and people seem to believe.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'd have to be careful on how I respond to that one. Sarah said it. I think there was this negative connotation for a long time on Bluetooth that it's not fit for purpose for audio, and I can tell you, not just the technologies that we have out today, but what's coming and what our customers are doing and how they're stretching it. I mean, look, I'm an audio guy. I've got whole home audio. I love it, and 80%, 90% of Bluetooth devices that that come across my desk that I get to play with and listen to, I mean, they're on par with just about anything. And I think one of the other things that always makes me laugh is, and we talked a little bit about it, the high res audio, the audiophile community. Oh, they're not gonna do this, they're not gonna do that. I mean, the audiophile community, for the most part, are probably my age and older, and we can't hear above certain frequencies. So I respect the audiophile community, but I chuckle a lot when I hear, a little bit of pushback we get, because, I don't want to say it's a dying breed, but it's certainly maybe not quite as big a community as it used to be.
Like, I guess flipping that question slightly is that I remember sitting in a room in Belfast probably 20 years ago with Mike and some others who were working on these technologies that are kind of have become the foundation of Snapdragon Sound and kind of what we've done, and thinking, some of the engineers were coming up with ideas and other people were saying, that can't be done, but we've done it. So I think kind of like I'm really excited about what the next 20 years is going to bring in terms of all of those experiences and use cases and things that we're going to be able to bring to really make a difference to people's lives, I guess. I think that's the thing that really strikes me sometimes, that people really care about this stuff. Like, those audiophiles care about this stuff for a reason. So I think it's a really exciting space to be in.
And what are you specifically referencing when you say, there were a couple of things you were working on where people thought you're not going to make it?
Lossless. I mean, I think at one point we thought, we'd never be able to get, scale the bandwidth enough to, as a standalone. When you think about back then, we were, a standalone codec company. And now that, as I said, we've been able to look across the entire audio chain and kind of have technologies that work together to enable, the bandwidth needed to deliver lossless. But I think back then, every iteration of technology that we've seen has kind of been blown away. And I think even when you think about true wireless and how clunky the experience was, with those first true wireless headsets, and some of the robustness issues you have, and you put your phone in your pocket, or and now I think we've solved a lot of those pain points that I think at some point I thought would never be solved. So I think there are lots of exciting things to come.
You just want to kind of wrap it up with a rapid fire. So we're gonna give you two options. Which one of the two would you find more important, or would you associate yourself more with? Let's see. So you wanna? And
how do you do this? There's two of them. We assume there's going to be one person speak. So we go Mike, Sarah. Oh yeah, Sarah, yeah. Mike. Okay. Sarah, you're up. Rock and roll or EDM?
EDM.
Wireless audio or wired, Mike?
Wireless.
Ooh! It took a second.
You got talk about controversial.
Sarah, big bass or balanced sound?
Balanced sound.
Great call quality or amazing comfort, Mike?
Comfort. I'm old.
Noise cancelling or transparency, Sarah?
noise cancelling. I have small children. Sometimes I like to block them out.
I know what you mean. Mike, this is a really hard one. APTX or LDAC?
Well, that's a tough one. I'll be less controversial and say APTX.
You sure you want to think about it? Maybe get back to us.
Oh yeah.
No.
Sarah, just as less controversial, Bang & Olufsen or Edifier?
Oof.
Ooh, edifier.
Wow, that's interesting. Mike, touch controls or buttons?
Buttons. I gotta tell you, I don't love touch control. I don't love it. Plus the earbuds fall out of my ears, so when I touch them with the volume, they fall out.
Then I have a nice one for Sarah. Earbuds or headphones?
Oh, that's a really hard one. Earbuds.
Yeah, you don't want to mess your hair up.
True.
All right.
You know your customer, huh? So you both are not using any headphones or earbuds at the moment, are you?
I'm not. No, I do have one sitting here, but I'm not. No.
What's your go-to?
I just picked up the new Nura Pros. This isn't an endorsement. I'm not sponsored. But I do really, really like them. And recently got my hands on the new Bose as well. Smaller form factor, fits really well. I'd say both those right now are my go-to.
And yours, Sarah?
I have been using the Edifier Stack Spirit S3, which are over-ear headphones with Snapdragon Sound because they're their first kind of over-ear plans to support Snapdragon Sound, and I have been actually blown away by the quality of those. So
We reviewed those on the channel. Edifier is a brand that comes up so often.
Yeah.
It's really incredible what they've done with wireless and what you guys have done, I guess. So it's a good job on that. Thank you so much for your time. We're approaching the end of this video.
Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.